Hey, everybody, it's Mike from The Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios and brought to you by official sponsor of The Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson's The Missing, available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. We're here with Terrific Clay, who is a Manhattan consultant partnering with top-tier corporate executives and entrepreneurs to develop their personal and professional brands for 20 plus years. She is a founder of Women Beyond the Table, a business network with a soul, and also hosts a Beyond the Table podcast, leveraging her ability and connecting with audiences by sharing her guest stories and wisdom. And she has a new book out, which is about connecting deeply with her family and in a world of devices, and a must read for anyone looking to build a deeper connection through technology. And of course, we all have these today, and we text right now as we speak. It's about the book, Text Message to My Sons. If anybody's texting, you may want to put down and listen up. Live, ladies and gentlemen, at Plus Studios in beautiful downtown Manhattan, the Manhattan consultant partnering with entrepreneurs and corporate executives for 20 years, founded Women Beyond the Table, and also host of Beyond the Table podcast, and the author of the book, Text Message to My Sons, and something very deeply you want to consider. Ladies and gentlemen, the multi-talented Tammy Cohen. Tammy, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Well, Mike, thank you so much. That was a great introduction, and I'm happy to be here.
Well, it's great to have you on board, Tammy. And of course, I was just texting and trying to get back to people here. But of course, this is the most important thing right here. And for those who are looking to connect, you're a Manhattan consultant partnering with entrepreneurs and corporate executives, entrepreneurs developing their personal and professional brands for 20 plus years. You're the founder of Women Beyond the Table, a business network with a soul. You also host a Beyond the Table podcast, leveraging your ability to connect with audiences about stories on a deeper level. You also have a book out, which is about connecting deeply with your family in a world full of devices, and a must read for anyone looking to build a deeper connection with the use of technology, not just one-on-one, but texting, video conferencing, and more. And the book is called Text Message to My Sons. And before getting all that, before we text, Tammy, tell us how I first got started.
Wow. Okay. So basically, over the pandemic, we all had time to, really sit back and think. I think that's when the Great Resignation came about, because everybody was shut down and they had a lot of time on their hands. It was a very challenging time, but for me, it was a time of actual enlightenment. I had the opportunity to self-reflect and look more inside myself, and I really realized I hadn't been happy for a long time, and I really didn't like. There were a lot of things I really didn't like about my beliefs or my thoughts, and my origin, like growing up and my origin story. So I decided to immerse myself in mindset work and energy work. And I really started reading and doing a lot of coursework and taking a lot of programs, and was really fortunate to work with great coaches. And as I was going through this journey of self-awareness or accountability, whatever it was, I really thought I would love to share this with my sons, because, I was usually just kind of communicating as a mom to a kid, which is more like, do this, do that, da, 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 and I wanted to change
Right,
up
the traditional way, or you just write little notes like, get this done or you're in trouble. I remember those.
Yeah, my texts were kind of like that. It was a command, it was a reprimand, or it was a reminder. And I said, I want to change the way I communicate with them. I want to connect with them on a completely different level. So that's how the idea for text messages to my sons came up, and that's how it started. Started with texting daily.
Mm-hmm. And certainly indeed too. And of course, I think we're texting as we speak right here, and trying to tell everybody I'm doing my show by text. I'm trying to think of something here, but what was that one precise moment that simply influenced you into writing the book, or getting involved in text messaging with your sons?
Well, there were a couple of things that actually made a difference. First of all, the response of my sons to the text. They were they really liked receiving them. They sent me back love. They
Mm-hmm.
sent me back, whether even if it was an emoji or it was, that's a great message, or just love you, they responded. And I knew that they liked it because they would tell me that, they would talk to me about a specific message or something to that effect. And then when I was sharing with friends or colleagues, like, oh, I do this with my kids, they're like, that's incredible. You should put it in a book. That's amazing. That's so helpful. Like,
Ah,
are you
interesting.
kidding? So I said, wow, like there are people who are telling me this is a really good idea. And then I even went so far as I had a couple of friends who started doing it with their kids, and they said, I feel like the tenor of my relationship is changing. So yeah, there were a couple of prime moments that got me motivated and compelled towards putting all these messages into a book. And then it just was natural for me to call it Text Messages to My Sons.
OMG LOL. That is a
right?
really good idea. Yeah. Remember when LOL came out, everybody thought it was lots of love, but it was just a laugh. Where now you just send it by like a GIF, or just, take a photo and send it over, or like one of those I'm trying to think what it is. I'll get to that later as well, like a little 5-second thing and such, walking, everything, dancing and all that. So
Yeah, there's so much, content now out there that on a phone, incredible. And I'm kind of like, I don't know about you, but I'm just like, I don't get how to do all this stuff.
mhm.
Not my thing, you
Right.
know.
Do you use and do you have an Apple or a Samsung or an Android or an iPhone?
I use an Apple. I use an iPhone. My kids have iPhones, but you know what? Part of text message to my sons when I made it connecting deeply in a world of devices is really the tagline, because you can connect with anybody in any device. Doesn't matter what phone it is. Doesn't matter what pad you're using. What if it's a laptop? If it's this or it's that. I chose the phone because let's face it, everybody's on their phone continuously. That's like a big statistic. It used to be in 2017, people on their
I'm sorry.
phone
What'd you say? I was on the phone here.
70%.
So
I know, right? But it was like 70% in 2017 to now it's continuous. So, that's what you go with. What's continuous?
And of course, people also use them in restaurants as well too. And hopefully we're trying to change that too.
Oh yeah, I actually own a restaurant on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, and what I've noticed that people are sitting at the table and they're on their phones. The funniest thing is I was watching a basketball game a while ago, and the announcers were just cracking up because these girls were on the jumbotron, but they weren't watching the game. They were taking selfies the whole time, and that like everybody was cracking up that these girls had no clue that they were on the jumbotron, they were not watching the game, and they were just taking selfies. And I said, that's what it is about. That's everybody's on their device. That's it.
How do you like that? You pay what, $100 a ticket, even a box seat, nosebleed, and you're texting and taking selfies throughout the game. I cannot imagine that.
And you
And
don't even know you're on the jumbotron.
yeah, how you like that?
That's
I mean,
fun.
kissing your loved one is one thing, or making funny faces, or wearing a goofy shirt, goofy outfit, or doing a dance. But if you're on your phone and you're caught doing jumbotron, why not take $100 and just go somewhere else instead of being in a game? It's like, my dad told me this. He said, "You better be watching game because I pay good money for it." So it's like you got to be out there. It's like not to say, "Hey, I was just at the game." You should be able to tell about, say at the Knicks game. It's like, hey, Carmelo Anthony scored with 5 seconds remaining and everything like that. Or say, James Harden put up the game-winning shot and we lost. It's like you got to be there for the experience, not just, be on your phones or selfies the whole time. You miss all the action.
Yeah, and that's part of what it is. The generation like that's where they connect, and yeah, it's their connection tool. That's how they connect. We were raised, our generation was conversations, communication. You played outside, you spoke on the phone, you met somebody for a coffee, you had a talk. You didn't have any other option really. So it's very different way style of communicating.
Or you just, you're shut into a can, megaphone, trying to get someone's attention, or even do Morse code back in the days if you can't talk, hand signals, whatever else. So I remember those days too. And of course, an interesting restaurant story I was going to tell you as well too, that we're in Dickinson, and it's in the western half of the state, out in the Badlands, where the buffalo roam, the coyotes, and everything else. It's all prairie. And we went to a Mexican restaurant, and there's a guy named Walter who's like a singing whale from Mexico, and he was serenading and taking a seat, taking our orders, and having a conversation. And he's singing away, telling jokes. We're having our meal, and he looked at us, says, "The reason why I'm doing this exclusive for you, because everyone else is on their phones."
That's the way it is. And you know what? I think it's kudos to you and your family that you were actually in the moment and engaging, because you know what? You got to hear music and you got to probably have a really nice time. And the other people weren't getting any of that because they weren't engaging in the now, in the present, in the
Mhm.
moment.
Right, and exactly it too. And of course, we'll talk more about the book Text Message to My Sons, as I say, BRB. But first, listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960, or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson-Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is an illusion and those you love be the first go missing. It's available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Molson-Zia has got great reviews. And Evil Evan enjoys by Howard celebrities, including Joanna Cassie, Forbes Riley, M&M's. So grab your copy today for it goes Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon. Also, check out the Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com or 40 podcast platforms. Heard in 100 countries, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, also Apple Music, Odyssey, Podbean, Buzzsprout, Pandora, TuneIn. Also, subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on BitChute, Rumble, YouTube. Follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Threads, and more. Make sure your ticket's with you on any mobile device. And for great gift ideas, you can text your loved ones about this one. Check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast on Amazon. T-shirts, pop sockets, throw pillows, tote bags, hoodies. Makes great gifts 24/7. Go to Amazon.com. Check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia for great books like Missing, Once, and Wrinkles. Great gifts all year round, plus t-shirts, pop sockets, hoodies, phone cases, and more. Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia. Check it out today and support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. We're here with Manhattan consultant, partnering with top-tier corporate executives, Tammy Cohen on the Mike Wagner Show, author of the book Text Message to My Sons, while people are texting, about the show and everything, and of course, you also have been doing it as well, too. And you've been a consultant for about 20 plus years, and you help entrepreneurs. And tell us how I got started in that area.
Well, after college, I was working and I decided to go pursue an MBA. I worked full time. I went at night. And when I graduated, I was working in the fashion district in the garment center. And eventually I transitioned and I started working with small businesses who needed traditional marketing skills, because back then it was traditional marketing.
Mhm.
And
Right, with the
so
mail, the fax,
yeah,
the phone, and the old time coffee
yeah.
machine, everything. I remember that. Yeah, and the water cooler. Yeah, water cooler conversations.
And people needed help, with their business. It was the beginning of really of getting into websites and all this stuff. So that transitioned. I wound up focusing mostly in the gem and jewelry space. And one of the clients I started working with was a big global company. And it just took me all around traveling and really working on a major brand. And from doing smaller kind of brand work and marketing work, I wound up going into a much bigger space. And then during the pandemic, I had been working with just with one client for a while because it was so much work and it was a big company. But since the pandemic, I've expanded my base a bit more, and I find brand messaging has really helped me in so many ways, from writing text messages to my sons and the design and the formatting of it, to the work I do with Women Beyond the Table and messaging and podcasts. So it's really helped me across the board in everything I'm doing now.
And of course, speaking of messages and everything else, the communication back in the day. Do you think the messaging or the intimacy, like back in the day with your sons in the 90s, with the fax, the of course you got the pagers, those car phones, those big cell phones. Do you think that that intimate conversation would have been just as apparent as well too, or meaningful?
Well, when my kids were growing up, I was kind of fortunate because there wasn't the level of like internet or, my kids didn't get phones till they were like in middle school. Like now kids have phones when they're like babies.
Yeah. 5,
They
6,
didn't
7
know.
years old.
Yeah.
They're on their tablets, pick red, green, or blue on the tablet. I mean, back in our day, it's like we just read cereal boxes to keep ourselves entertained.
Yeah. They watch VHSs. Like they had they don't even have that. There's no CDs, no VHS. So it was a very different medium. So yeah, we were still doing both. It was like kind of like they were on their Game Boys and all this stuff and their PlayStations and their Wii's and all that stuff. But we still had an opportunity to talk. We went to movies together a lot. Like that was something like there was no, weren't streaming at home. There was no Netflix. So we would go out to the movies together. We would have it. We would do something. We would do more things together. I think that's a difference. But I don't know how it is to raise a kid now, except that my sons are grown. So, and two of them don't live at home, and the other one is always out because they're working. They're very busy in their lives. So, how do you get their attention? You have to text them. How do you send a message? No, I don't know many kids who are having in-person conversations, and they're not getting on the phone to have a conversation. When I speak with my kids, if I call them on the phone, it's 6 seconds.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like almost
Two.
like
Yep.
painful.
Yep.
They don't want to
Yep.
talk.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
okay, so
Bye.
but yeah, so text messages to my sons really came about because I was able to express so much more to them in a text, and they were way more patient about reading a text than having a conversation with me.
Hmm. And of course, there's some other ways to build a deeper connection as well, too. It's like, what are some of the other ways you can build a deeper connection besides, simple text or three-letter, little catchphrases like, BTW, LOL, OMG, or if you're a little sad about something, SMH and everything. And what are some of the other deeper ways you can also form by text messaging or just messaging in general?
Well, you know what? Listen, I look at it like it's more about the message itself. It's not so much about the emoji they send back, although they do respond. It's more about sharing light, sharing love, telling somebody they're worthy, telling somebody they matter, sharing that what you're learning, you're not lecturing, you're just sharing with them, sharing, admitting that you didn't do things the right way, admitting that you made mistakes, being a human, especially with your kids. I think, and they've told me that they love the message, and especially because it makes them feel bulletproof. It makes like they knowing somebody cares about you enough to send you an inspiring message, to send you love, to share. Um, Bulletproofs you. Your day can become crappy, but you know that somebody really cares about you, and it's a shield. It really helps. So I think that's been the best thing. And Mike can tell you that my sons wrote the forward, the text messages to my sons because they wanted to share. They really were involved with this book from the beginning to the end. In a lot of ways, they've contributed, but they wanted to share what it means to them to get these messages
Hmm. And what are some of your favorite texts that you have gotten? What are some of like the funniest ones you've gotten?
from them.
Yes.
Funniest one, the funniest is your messages are really long.
Hey, don't blame
Like,
me. I'm the parent.
like you're just a little bit too wordy. But it's well written. They say it's well written, but it's funny because sometimes they were just like, and then sometimes I knew like when I'd send the message because I sent each. I have three sons. I sent each one of them a message, and I could tell by how quickly I got the heart emoji back that he probably didn't read it today. He just wanted me to know that he got it and loves me. But you know what I mean? So those are like funny little things.
Hmm.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
what are some of the do's and don'ts when it comes to text messaging or according to your book from your perspective?
Wow. Okay. I think most, I don't think there's really a wrong way to text or a right way to text. What I think is, like I said, it's the message. Because you can use messages to create tremendous harm, to incite violence, to indoctrinate people, to create hatred. You can text messages to bring light and bring love. So you have to be very careful. I don't ever want to come across like I'm lecturing them, you
Hmm.
know? I don't want to come across like I know better and I'm telling you like this is the way it is. So what I do is I just share. I just share information and I ask them what they think. Or one of the most unique things also I think from a parent's perspective is admitting, when I was wrong or sharing that I wasn't in the right headspace at times, mindset, and when I reacted to them or when I acted a certain way with them, it wasn't anything they did. It was me. So I think that just made me be more of a human being to them. And you know what? When you're coming at it from that point of view, I think you reach a place where you create this bond, this connection that goes deeper because they see you as a human. They see you as somebody who's being honest with them. They see you as a person with integrity. They see you also with a person who's honest. Like, you're not trying to be one of those do as I say, don't do as I do, or, I know best. I'm your parent. I'll tell you what, do this, do that. I don't take that approach. They're also grown-ups at this point. Look, I'm not saying you be best friends with your kids, you let them do whatever they want.
Right.
No, they need
Yeah. Uh-huh.
boundaries, they need things, but you can and through your texts and the tone and the way you approach it, you can actually get them to come along a lot better and not go through that like I hate you or I only want to be with my friends. They start you put in those right words and those right messages. They aren't going to grow up or they aren't going to be crazy. They're going to be
Mhm.
calmer. I think so.
Right. And of course, one of the first rules I learned is if you're shouting, you put it in caps. If you don't mean to shout, don't put it in caps.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I agree with you so much because tone could be really misconstrued. That's one thing that can be really misconstrued on an email or a text message. So many times, you just get into this thing and the person didn't mean it that way. Or you didn't mean anything and they're taking it a certain way. Before you know it, it's escalating. You're texting away or you're emailing and it's escalating. That's always why I'm like, you know what? If I think something's going sideways, I will pick up the call. I will pick up, or I will say to send a really sweet message because I so that they understand. Or I'll send a heart or I'll send a kiss because then they'll know it's not what they're thinking. A lot of
Mhm.
times, what happens too, Mike, is we perceive things. We have a certain, thing in our head that we perceive
Everybody's
things.
different. You're right. Everybody's different interpretations. And of course,
And
another
they're
thing I was
right.
going to mention too about the punctuation as well, too, that and I was reading an article about where we're like the only country that uses the exclamation point like it's a period. And of course,
I
some people
know,
get
I know,
rather excessive about it.
I know, I know. Yes, exclamation points. I've had to cut back on those too. Yes.
Mhm. And of course, some other things with text messaging to my sons and a deeper connection. She's a fond of Women Beyond the Table and hosted Beyond the Table podcast. And to go deeper with Tammy Cohen, we'll find out 1 minute. You listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios, and brought to you by official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson-Zia. We'll be back with author Tammy Cohen of Text Message to My Sons after this timeout and BRB. We're back with Tammy Cohen of Text Message to My Sons here on the Mike Wagner Show. And we certainly are back as well, too, which is RB, by the way, and just showing some love as well, too. And you're a host of Beyond the Table podcast, leverage your ability to connect with audiences, sharing stories and more, and the founder of Women Beyond the Table. And tell us about those two. And Beyond the Table seems to be an interesting concept for you.
Yes, that was another thing that started over the pandemic. Thank you. And I just started thinking about bringing together a network of building a network, a community, a sisterhood of women who are entrepreneurs, who are very skilled, and who basically care about health and wellness and care about business and care about each other. So we wound up, just growing this group, and it's now global. And it's a very exciting thing to see the women. They're non-competitive. They're not competing. They're not judgmental. They're just there to leverage their social capital and help each other. So it's not so much about, even though the women are exchanging services, it's not so much about that. It's more about, I have a question. I need help with something. Do you know the person who can help? Do you know the person who can answer my question? And Mike, I have found this out, and I found this with the book, Text Message to My Sons, that people are basically want to be kind. They want to help you. I didn't know how to write a book. I didn't know the first thing about writing a book. I've never written a book. And the women in my group were so supportive. And I wound up, taking the first step and finding the answers along the way because of these connections with these women and because people are basically do want to help you. They don't want to. They want people are basically, oh, they're nice. They do want to help. You just have to ask. You have to be able to ask for
Or they can send you a text as well too. So that's another important thing. They can
it.
also text you. You can also text write a book as well. That's a new thing. If you can record a book and turn to a book or a song, it's like you can text and turn to a book also. So
You know what? I call it, people tell me when they look at text message to my sons, because it's written in text formatting. It's all Texas. I mean, it's not like the book is written in a very different format than any other book, because it's actually written in the text format, which makes it very easy to read. But people are like, it's text poetry. I go, oh, it sounds like it's a new literature category, text poetry. But it is in a way, because it just speaks from the heart, and that's what poetry is.
and certainly is as well too. And where can we find text message to my sons at?
Text Message to My Sons, Connecting Deeply in Worlds of Devices, is available on Amazon.
Okay. And what's your website and how to get a hold of your book, the podcast, and the Women Beyond the Table? Where can they find you on your website?
Okay, my website is www.tc, T as in Tom, C as in cat, brand consulting, tcbrandconsulting.com. So everything's on there, text messages. It's really a website about that I'm a connector. That's what I do. So there's a link to Women Beyond the Table. There's links to the podcast, being a guest on the podcast, joining a call, finding out more about text messages, and my brand messaging consulting services. So it's really has everything on it, and that's the best way to reach me.
And certainly an all-in-one is indeed as well too. We're here with author Tammy Cohen of Text Message to My Sons here on the Mike Wagner Show, and just a few more things. What else can we expect from you in 2023 and 2024 and beyond?
Well, I'm going to be promoting the book. That's my goal. And so that's number one on my plate, is the book and promotion of the book. And I really feel today, now more than ever, this world needs positive messages. World needs to transition. What's going on in social media and what's been going on, especially over the last several weeks, is just very distressing. We have to transform those messages of hate and bring messages of love and light, because that's the only way this world is going to get better. And so that's my goal, is to get the book out and to, continue everything else that I do too, because that's part of my who I am. So, but that's my 2023, the rest of 2023 and 2024.
That is certainly great. We're looking forward to it, and feel free to text us more on that too. And who do you consider biggest influence in your career?
Who's my biggest influence in my career
Yes.
right now? That's a great question.
Or it can be further back too, or it can be anybody.
Well, you know what? I can honestly say that I've had some really great mentors, but I can tell you that just the people who are around me in my network, the people who I've worked with and on projects, they've always made me up level my game. And I can honestly say that that's been really excellent. I mean, I remember like my first bosses and stuff like that, and they steered me into the right direction. But really, I can honestly say that I've just been fortunate and to be able to always meet people who are, just amazing and next level, and sharing their knowledge, sharing information. And you know what? I'm going to tell you what somebody told me. Actually, I think I heard it with Tony Robbins initially, but I've heard it from other people too, is that there are so many brilliant people out there who've written books, and what's taken them 30 years to figure out, they put in a book. Go read so you can learn what took them 30 years. You can read it in a month, and you can, learn and get there. And I'm hoping with Text Message to My Sons, people look at it and they look at what I'm sharing and what I've learned, because there's a lot of quotes in there and there's a lot of interesting information that I learned. And I hope that they get something out of it too, because that's what it is, sharing information.
And that's very important as well too. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
With advice for what? Like writing a book or
In general, in general.
you know what? Be authentic, be yourself. Never say you can't do something, because we are pretty limitless as people. We don't realize it. So I always say, like, if you would have told me in 2020, you would have said, Tammy, you're going to expand your business, you're going to have a podcast, you're going to found a women's business network, you're going to write a great book called Text Messages to My Sons, you're gonna do these things. I would have looked at you, and this is not that long ago. I would have looked at you and said, no way.
Or LOL.
Or yeah, LOL. Right? But here I am. If I can do it, you can do it. That's my advice to anybody. If I can do this, you can do it. You can do anything you want. Just take a step and the doors will open, because as you go one step forward, other doors open, because it's just how it is. That's how it is. So
Mhm,
that's my advice.
mhm.
Don't be shy. Do it.
And certainly indeed as well too. So put down a text. We're gonna be wrapping up here. We're with Tammy Cohen, the author of Text Message to My Son here on the Mike Wagner Show. And Tammy, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to having you again soon. Keep us up to date. Keep in touch. Love to have you back. Once again, what's your website? How do people contact you? Where can people purchase or check out your book or check out your podcast?
Text Messages to My Sons is available on Amazon. That's the best place to buy it. My website is www.t as in Tom, C as in cat, tcbrandconsulting.com. That's the best place to reach me, and also find out about the podcast, Women Beyond the Table, my brand messaging services, and text messages is also on there. So you can click right on it and go right over to Amazon from there. So whatever is easiest, go for it.
And we'll text it over to you, Tammy. Once again, Tammy, very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely amazing. Looking forward to having you again soon. Keep us up to date. Keep in touch. Love having you back. Wish you all the best. And Tammy, you definitely have a great future ahead of you.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate you having me on. I really enjoyed talking to you, and you're great. Thank you so much.